Welcome back, guys. This is Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the Bowflex VeloCore. Now, this is a bike, listen, I didn't spend hardly any of my time as a child in an arcade. But this actually made me regret that. Past Lindsay is actually really sad about that because this feels like an arcade game. It moves side to side. It's super smooth. Now, although the programming is something I am going to talk about, in terms of the bike itself, I had so much fun trying out this bike. I had so much fun testing it out. I truly felt like a kid in an arcade game, and it's probably one of my favorite bikes that I have tried in terms of a spin upright bike with magnetic resistance. We are going to talk about all the details of this Bowflex VeloCore, but first make sure you subscribe to our channel. Also, if you want to go ahead and purchase this bike, we've made it super easy. Place a link below the like button. When you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra. It does give us a small commission, and we really appreciate it. And lastly, this was sent to us by the company, but as you will see, there are some callouts I do have to this bike, even though I actually really like it. I think it's going to be really good for some people and then just really miss the mark for others. Now, I have tested over 15 upright bikes, probably even more than that. I was just thinking 15 off the top of my head. And truth be told, they're just not my favorite in terms of exercise. I'm never going to choose that. I do have the Carol bike at my house. And one of the reasons I like that is because they're quick 8-minute high intensity workouts. But people going to spin classes and going to soul cycle classes, I just can't get behind it, because I get really bored. That's just me. I get bored on the bike. However, the fact that this can go side to side definitely made my ride so much more enjoyable. All right, let's talk about the assembly. Overall, this assembly was actually really easy. It took one person less than 40 minutes. Adeline went ahead and said that most of the bolts and the nuts are already kind of lined up where they needed to be, so you just kind of had to tighten it. The only kind of call out that she did have to it was to tighten the screws underneath the handlebar part. Were a little tricky, but was definitely able to get it done. And overall, I think anybody is able to put this together. Now, while we were shooting it, they are having a sale. The cost of it is $1,699. However, if you don't get it at the sale price, it is closer to $2,000. Now, it does come with a 22-inch screen. If you want to go ahead and purchase the Bowflex with a 16-inch screen, obviously it's going to drop your cost. The sale price to that is around $1,400. So just make sure that you're checking the cost, because they might change the sale prices on you. But in terms of comparing the cost of this one versus other ones we've seen, this is definitely coming in at a cheaper cost point, even when it's not on sale. Now, you are going to get free shipping with your purchase, as well as 2 months free of the Journey programming. Now, we are going to talk about the Journey programming in just a second, because it's my biggest call out to this bike. But if you want to continue on with that Journey programming, it'll cost you $149 a year. That is half the cost of iFreight programming, but honestly, it shows. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of the specifics of this bike before we get into the programming. One, you are able to go obviously side to side. When you do that, it's incredibly smooth, incredibly fun. But if you don't want to do that the whole time, I've read a lot of people online that said because of that fact, their abs are actually pretty sore after a ride, because you're engaging your abs as you're moving side to side. I can totally see that. If you want to go ahead and lock it into position, there's a super easy locking mechanism that basically allows you to either ride the bike side to side or then just straight up and down like we see with a typical upright bike. In terms of how it feels as I was riding, I mean, this is probably my favorite upright seat that I've ever tried. When I compare this to the god-awful Peloton seat bike that I've tried before, this comes in leaps and bounds ahead. It was actually really comfortable. I also like that the handlebars are adjustable and you can move them up and down, although you can't move them back and forth. I still find that moving them up and down, there are a lot of different ways I could put my hands, position my hands, and the rubber coating on them was actually pretty decent. Didn't make my hands sweaty or anything like that. All right, so let's get to the programming itself. Guys, this is the biggest miss for me. One of the reasons I don't like it is there's not an instructor on the screen. They use more like an AI robot voice to tell you what you need to do. So it's fine, you can definitely follow along. And did I get a good workout? Yes, absolutely. But was it engaging? No. So they have that aspect. On the screen, it's basically just gonna show you your metrics that you wanna see, like your speed, your calories, your distance, your time, so on and so forth. Then they also have a program that you can use, which I was really excited about because it's more like explore the world, right? So you can choose like riding down the streets in Las Vegas or riding down the streets in China and have more of like an immersive experience. So I went ahead, tried that programming. However, this like honestly made me so mad. I was so frustrated by it. As I'm riding, even if I am riding full speed ahead, the little person on the screen that is me, like barely changes speed. Like honestly, my toddler who just got her training wheels off would ride faster than me. Like it felt so incredibly slow. And because of that, it just didn't feel immersive. It didn't feel fun. It just felt like I was going the same pace the entire time, even if I was putting in max effort on the bike. And so for me, that was like a huge miss. I do think that if that second option as you were riding along, like any place in the world, if it better showed you and the relation of the speed that you were going into the relation of what you're experiencing on the screen, I probably would have liked it a lot better. So the other thing with Bowflex, okay, is that it says you can go ahead and connect Peloton or Zwift to it and go ahead and use that programming. So I was like, okay, good. Journey programming, it's not my favorite. Let's go ahead and connect the Peloton to this and see what we can do. So I went ahead, connected the Peloton app to the Journey programming, but it doesn't show on the screen. There's no sort of like mirroring function. So all you're going off is on your phone. So even though you are able to take the class and it does connect to the bike through Bluetooth to show you like your distance, your calories, and the things that you're doing on the Peloton class, it doesn't show the Peloton class on the screen. Okay, so maybe that's fine. However, this is my second call out to it. The holder where you place your phone, if you're following along with your phone, is so low and the handlebars are so high that it almost blocks your screen from view. So overall, it was just another miss for me. And I think that like I actually am very passionate about this because if you took Peloton programming and put it on the Bowflex VeloCore bike, I think that this would be like hands down one of the best bikes out there. I know that I would enjoy it. I know that probably serious cyclists would enjoy it. And then also those who are just looking for external motivation and a fun way to ride and a fun way to work out would absolutely enjoy it. So if we took the Bowflex VeloCore bike and had better programming, I think this could be a top contender for an exercise bike. Now, I said earlier you can go ahead and adjust the handlebars. You can also go ahead and adjust the seat. So you can adjust it up and down, or you can adjust it side to side depending on where you want it. A lot of customization available with this. When you purchase this, this also comes with 3-pound dumbbells. I don't know why I've never found these to be like super useful. I know some bikes come with 3-pound dumbbells. Some bikes don't come with 3-pound dumbbells. You have to go ahead and purchase that separately. I just kind of feel like silly, like pumping my arms or whatever with these like little baby 3-pound dumbbells as I am taking a class. For me, like that's just my personal opinion. I don't get the idea behind it. But if you are somebody who likes using the dumbbells within a cycling class, they do come with the purchase. You have 2 options in terms of screen size. Obviously, a smaller screen, that's a 16 inches, is cheaper. And then you have the option to buy a 22-inch screen, which is obviously going to increase your price. Overall, I think you could easily get away with a 16-inch screen because, again, like the screen didn't offer me much. It wasn't showing me this like amazing programming to follow along with. So for me, I'd probably just go with a smaller screen size. In terms of like the responsiveness of the screen is actually really good. It responded really quick. Obviously, it's a touch screen. The other thing that I really enjoyed about it was the speakers are pretty quality. I have a lot of complaints about exercise equipment speakers because they just kind of fall short a lot of the times. But with this Bowflex VeloCore, I actually think that the speakers did a really great job. With this bike, it has 100 levels of magnetic resistance. Do I think that is unnecessary and excessive? Yeah, like I am not going to sit there and dial like 1, 2, 3. Like that just seems so silly to me. I think you could definitely get away with like less resistance, but if you are looking for like the optimal customization experience, this has 100 levels, so you can customize away. When it comes to the pedals itself, it does has SPD clips on one side as well as a cage toe backs on the other. Backs, do you like how I said that? I'm from New Jersey. Okay, so so if you are somebody who wants to go ahead and get serious, obviously buy cycling shoes, but if you don't really care, you also have the option to just wear your like Nanos or your Metcons or whatever tennis shoe you're wearing at the time. This is a little bit larger bike than what we've seen in the past, so almost 60 inches in length, and because of the screen sits up a little bit higher at 55 inches high, as well as 24 inches wide, so just make sure you have the available space. With this, it does have a weight capacity of 325 pounds. That's higher than industry standard and higher than a lot of other bikes that we see that are kind of in the same category. For instance, it does have a higher weight capacity than the Peloton Bike Plus, but but it does have a lower weight capacity than the NordicTrack S22i. One thing that I like about Bowflex products in general, you see this with their treadmills, and then again, you see this with their Bowflex VeloCore, is that you can go ahead and stream your favorite apps. So if you have like a Netflix subscription, Hulu, Disney Plus, whatever you want to watch, you can go ahead and watch that on the screen as you're working out. When we compare the Peloton, the NordicTrack S22i, and the Bowflex VeloCore, the VeloCore is the cheapest option, even when it comes to programming, right? It is the cheapest yearly cost with the programming as well. However, I just don't love the programming. So here's my deal. Like, if you are somebody who doesn't care if they have quality programming, and you maybe have a Peloton account and you don't mind like having it sit down low or not being able to be displayed fully on the screen, then I say like absolutely get this bike. It was so much fun to ride. I love going side to side, but if quality programming is important to you, then I'd probably look at a different direction. You're probably gonna have to spend a little bit more, but I do think if you're looking for quality programming, I probably wouldn't go with this Bowflex VeloCore. And I mean, I have not tested every bike in the world, but at least here in the warehouse, this is the only one that I have tested that goes side to side. The NordicTrack S22i does have an incline and decline feature, so it will raise you and lower you, but it does not do the side-to-side action, which I think is the biggest selling point to this VeloCore because it just makes it, again, so much fun to ride. All right, guys, that is it for me. Let us know if you've tried this Bowflex VeloCore, if you found your inner child as you were riding on it, felt like you were maybe like in an arcade game itself. Let us know your thoughts and comments below. This has been Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Peace.